maybe some things that we talk about, and I may have to look at you and say I'll get
Not sure.
the answer back
Right.
to you because I
Yeah.
don't readily know. But whatever you ask, I'll be glad to find the answer for if I don't have it.
Okay, and that's what we like, just like like I said, just being open
Yeah,
to do it, and that's awesome.
absolutely.
So again, our I just have three categories, and I mean, if it branches out, it branches out.
Okay.
I did look over the water report
Okay.
that you had sent me, and I think it was from 2023, 24.
Yeah, it runs like a year. Like the one for last year should be coming out.
So. Okay, and I think you said that was in January or July.
Usually in July.
Okay. So like I obviously never looked at a water report. Okay. But like here, obviously it says like the fluoride and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now is this the max that it's allowing?
So hold on.
Because it says like range of levels detected.
Okay. So let me see if I can help explain this.
Sure.
So that would be the highest level that was detected. This is, of course, the whole range.
Okay.
So that would be what appears to be the only level, because if there was one lower than that,
it would be that.
It would be that.
Okay.
And that's the maximum contaminant level that's allowed by
Okay.
EPA.
Okay.
So we're
not
we're
even
nowhere
close.
near, nowhere near the 4.0 parts per million, and so that's why it says no, there's not a violation.
That's good. Yeah. And
yeah.
then what is this? Is this just different categories?
Yeah, that's just the different categories for the columns that are going to follow.
Perfect. And so overall, this seemed like it was a decent water report.
And we do what you asked. I never got back to you, and I realized this sometime last night. We do submit. On a daily basis, we track like the pH, the chlorine, and the fluoride.
Okay.
And that gets sent to EPD at the end of the month. So it's like that report. I think that maybe it wasn't you, but there is a report that we send to EPD at the end of every month that has all 30 days or 31 days, whatever, for each of the 4 wells and what the levels were every day.
Oh, okay.
And we also, for us, it's tracked. It's not just manually tracked. We actually have it's tracked digitally, so something that is attached to the well that reads it for us.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's really nice. Okay, so I did see that Cochrane has like the 4 wells, and they're all groundwater. It says, "Can you walk me through how each of the 4 groundwater wells are currently treated before water reaches the homes?"
No, I cannot.
I cannot. But you have somebody that could.
Yes, and okay. I can put you in touch with the guy that is over our water treatment. We have somebody that we contract with that works with our public works supervisor to make sure that all of those things are done.
Okay.
And I would be more than glad to get you his information.
That'd be great.
After I leave here.
No problem.
Let me get my notes.
Yeah.
Because I have just enough knowledge to get it wrong.
Sure.
And have a little bit of truth in it, but it wouldn't be intentional. So I'd rather you talk to him.
Right.
So sorry.
No, you're
okay. I could have looked that up for you before I got here, but I didn't know. So
that's all good.
Okay, so how the water is treated before it reaches the home.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Just with like the Facebook reviews and things like that, we've seen brown water.
Yep.
And
I get it. And
checking that out.
Unfortunately, I mean, this is no excuse for us at all.
Right.
But unfortunately, I follow because I just retired from public health, and so I had 13 counties, and I would monitor the social media in all of those counties because I needed to know things that were going on.
Right.
And you still see, and it's almost, you could remove City of Cochrane from the post.
Yeah.
And you could plug those posts in almost any of the older cities around us that are smaller and rural and don't have the economic base that we do.
Sure.
And that's why we have started doing a lot more planning for how we're going to replace the older infrastructure in
That's
town.
Like one of my next questions, actually, because it just says, has the city evaluated upgrading filtration at the well or system level rather than relying on main home filtration?
So I think filtration at the well is what's required, and we stay on top of that.
Okay.
What happens once it leaves the well?
Yeah. The infrastructure.
Yeah, we have to deal with some of that infrastructure, and that's what we're planning on. Because unfortunately, when you've got pipes that are 100 years old, or maybe a smaller diameter, so it pushes things harder through the pipes.
Mm-hmm.
But we have started, what we hope to do soon is to do some pressure testing.
Okay.
Especially in the area where we seem to have the most problems with the brown water, because we want to make sure that there's no infiltration of groundwater, which we don't think there is at all, but there shouldn't be, because the water's under pressure. So if anything, it's going out. Nothing should be coming in unless there's a loss of pressure in the system. So we're going to get a pressure test done, see if there's any issues there, and then start gradually replacing the pipes as we can.
I was going to say, when I was reading over the report, it acknowledged the whole infrastructure thing with the lead, and even though it doesn't say lead in the report, it doesn't necessarily mean there's not lead in the pipes.
Right.
So is there like a possibility of a grant to be able to, replace the pipes? Can you do that type of thing?
You can.
Okay.
As long as we keep everything properly treated, there's not a concern for that.
Okay.
And then gradually, as we replace things, then the concern would be even less.
Right.
One of the things that I did in my former life is, I think I mentioned to you that I worked with chemical hazards, and I was a chemical hazards risk assessor, and I tested homes for lead.
Okay.
Which also included lead in water.
Okay.
And there was not one home that I tested for lead that was on a public water system that I was ever able to detect lead from the public water system. But we would do 2 draws. This is probably way more than you wanted to know.
No, this is great.
But when I would test a home for lead, or I would test the plumbing for lead, we'd do 2 draws. I would be there like first thing in the morning, or if it was someone I knew that we could seriously trust, I would leave the bottle with them, and they'd do a first draw before anybody in the house turned on any plumbing.
Okay.
And it was a first draw, which is supposed to tell you about the plumbing in the home.
Okay.
And then let the water run for several minutes, and then do another draw, which will tell you about the source water that's coming from the city. Never detected any lead from any of the cities that I worked in. But we would pick up from lead in the home.
Right.
And there were times where we would detect lead with wells, with private water wells. So, and at people's individual homes. So that's, and some of that wording in that report's just like blanket that they put in.
Right.
But if you live in an older home, you should always let the water run before you use it for drinking or cooking or anything like that, because you don't know unless you've tested your water.
Yes, and I'm a living caregiver for my mom.
Okay.
And we are over at the Havenwood Daisy senior
Mm-hmm.
living area. And so sometimes in there, we'll have to run the water a little bit longer for like the smell sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned
like
that to me.
Yeah, and I have a sulfa allergy. So like sometimes the water gets to me a little bit, but that's just maybe a me thing.
And that I need to look into that, because I've not heard that before.
Okay.
But I do need to look into that.
Yes. And I'm doing, like, I don't want to make this whole thing a personal thing, but I also feel like if you can make things relatable,
absolutely,
then that also helps the situation. Do you know what are the biggest barriers, other than cost and infrastructure or regulation, to improving the filtration? What would you say? Yeah, definitely cost. Yeah, and everything's going up, right?
Yeah.
So, like, with the water going up, then your housing costs goes up.
Yeah.
And everything else.
Well, and what some folks don't understand, like when we did the city park, a lot of folks were like, why didn't you use that money for something else? Well, when you apply for a grant, that money is specific to whatever that purpose is.
Right.
And so it's not like we could use it for anything else. And plus, when the land was donated to us, it was specifically for a city park.
Yeah.
And so our hands are kind of tied in that way. Mm-hmm. And so, so we applied for grant money to put stuff out there because we had the land,
That's right. Yeah.
So it's not like we were taking money we could have used for infrastructure.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense. Absolutely. Well, I think we've already kind of answered it, but I'll ask it because it's here. So it says, with rising water costs, has there been any discussion about balancing rates with a long-term infrastructure investment?
So for clarification, sure. So is that talking about raising rates to help pay for infrastructure? What is that question?
So like water costs are going up, mm-hmm. and like again at Havenwood, they don't pay for water over there. It's paid for, but then sometimes if the water goes up, the rent will go up.
Right.
And so I guess there's just, like, is there a discussion because these things are going up that would balance it out with that going up higher, mm-hmm. With what needs to be done for better infrastructure?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Typically, the only time that we would raise a rate is if something's happening on the back end that is making it cost more for us to provide that service.
Okay.
And there are points in time where we do take out loans or bonds to better the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And we do have to pay those back, but those typically will be paid back from any of the fees that are paid, because we do. I mean, of course, with anything, I mean, you don't go to a store and pay for an item exactly what they paid for it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, of course, there is
a little jump,
something built in there, of course. And that money is taken and set aside for. Sometimes we absorb increases and we don't pass them along to the public, which is not something everybody knows.
Yeah.
But we also use that money to pay back bonds that we have acquired to improve infrastructure. So if all that makes sense.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, I gotcha. So I didn't mention this in the beginning, but each category I have, the community outlook and some questions, and then like a final thought of that section that I want from you. So this says, it says, if you had to sum up for the residents, what would you want people to understand about water safety today and long-term system improvements?
Water safety. I'm sorry. I'm expecting a phone call. I'm probably going to have to take. I just want to make sure I can hear it.
No problem.
Water safety today in relation to what?
In relation to water safety today and long-term system improvements. Like to kind of ease the residents' minds.
Yeah. Well, we had a retreat in January, I think, or early February. It's early February. And one of the things that we set as a priority for us that we honestly haven't done very well in the past is planning for this long-term infrastructure repair, improvement, replacement.
Right.
And so we are working with our engineer, which is Falcon Engineering, and coming up with a plan for how we're going to do it, which is why the pressure test for the water system is important.
Right.
Is because it will identify any weaknesses in the system, and so we know to start there first.
Okay.
So we want to be able to start in the areas that need it the most and then move out. So like in my mind, it would seem most likely that we would start here in town with the oldest plumbing, but that may not be where we find out the most issues are as far as the need for replacement.
Right.
And so, so we're working with them not only for the water system, but for the sewer system as well.
That's great.
And so most recently with the sewer system, we did what's called slip lining the existing pipes. So they go in, it's like coating the inside of the pipes. and it helps seal the pipes so that when we get heavy rains like we got this weekend,
Right.
we don't get an infiltration of groundwater,
Mm-hmm.
because what we were doing years ago is basically treating groundwater that was coming in through the pipes.
Yeah.
And so several years back, about 5 years back, we slip lined a large majority of the system. And so that reduced the amount of infiltration that was going to the treatment plant. So now we're not treating groundwater,
Nice.
you know?
Yeah.
So stuff like that. We do a little at the time.
Right. That's great. Thank you for answering that.